That evening, Mr. Bartlett's newspaper announced finding of not only the third rodent ticket, but the fourth as well. Two rodent tickets found today streamed the headlines. Only one more left. All right, said Grandpa Joe, when the whole family was gathered in the old people's room after supper. Let's hear who found them. The ticket read, Mr. Bartlett, holding the newspaper up close to his face because his eyes were bad and he couldn't afford glasses. The third ticket was found by Miss Violet Beauregard. There was great excitement in the Beauregard household when our reporter arrived to interview the lucky young lady. Cameras were clicking and flashbulbs were flashing, and people were pushing and jostling and trying to get a bit closer to the famous doll. And the famous doll was standing on a chair in the living room, waving the golden ticket madly at her arm's length, as though she were flagging a taxi. She was talking very fast and very loudly to everyone, but it was not easy to hear all that she said because she was chewing so ferociously upon a piece of gum that at the same time. I'm a gum chewer normally, she shouted, but then I heard about these ticket things of Mr. Wonker's. I gave up gum and started on chocolate bars in hope of striking lucky. Now of course I'm back on gum. I just adore gum. I cannot do without it, munching it all day long except for a few minutes at meal times when I take it out and stick it behind my ear for safekeeping. To tell you the truth, I simply wouldn't feel comfortable if I didn't have that little wedge of gum to chew on every moment of the day. I really wouldn't. My mother says it's not ladylike, and it looks ugly to see those jaws going up and down like mine do all the time. But I don't agree. And who is she to criticize? Anyway, because if you ask me, I say that her jaws are going up and down almost as much as mine are from yelling at me every minute of the day. Now, Violet, said Mrs. Beauregard from a far corner of the room where she was standing on the piano to avoid being trampled by the mob. All right, mother. Keep your hair on, Mrs. Beauregard shouted. And now she went on, turning to the reporters again. It may interest you to know that this piece of gum I'm chewing right now, this moment, is one I've been working on for over 3 months solid. That's a record, that is. It's beaten the record held by my best friend, Miss Cornelia Princemetal. And was she furious? It's my most treasured possession now. This piece of gum is at night time. I just stick it on the end of the bedpost, and it's as good as ever in the morning. A bit hard at first, maybe, but it soon softened up again after I've given a few good chews. Before I started chewing for the world record, I used to change my piece of gum every day. I used to do it in our lift on the way home from school. Why the lift? Because I like sticking this dewy piece that I just finished with onto one of the control buttons. Then the next person who came along and pressed the button got my old gum on the end of his or her finger. Ha ha, and what a record they kicked up, some of them. You get the best result with women who have expensive gloves on. Oh yes, I'm thrilled to be going to Mr. Wonker's factory, and I understand that Afterwards, he's going to give me enough drum to last me for the rest of my whole life. Whoopee, hooray. Beastly dull, said Grandma Josephine. Despicable, said Grandma Georgina. She'll come to a steady end one day, chewing all that gum. You see if she doesn't. And who brought the fourth golden ticket? Charlie asked. Let me see, said Mr. Bartlett, peering at the newspaper again. Yes, here we are. The fourth golden ticket, he read, was found by a boy called Mike TV. Another bad luck, I'll be bound, muttered Grandma Josephine. Don't interrupt, Grandma, said Mrs. Bartlett. The TV houseful, said Mr. Bartlett, going on with his reading, was crammed like all the others with excited visitors. When our reporter arrived, but young Mike TV, the lucky winner, seemed extremely annoyed by the whole business. Can't you fools see I'm watching television? He said angrily. I wish you wouldn't interrupt. The 9-year-old boy was seated before an enormous television set, with his eyes glued on the screen, and he was watching a film in which one bunch of gangsters was shooting up another bunch of gangsters with machine guns. Mike TV himself had no less than 18 toy pistols of various sizes hanging from belts around his body, and every now and again he would leap up into the air and fire off half a dozen rounds from one or another of these weapons. Quiet, he shouted then when someone tried to ask him a question. Didn't I tell you not to interrupt? This show's an absolute whiz-banger. It's terrific. I watch it every day. I watch all of them every day, even the rotten ones. When there's no shooting, I like the gangsters best. They're terrific, those gangsters, especially when they start pumping each other full of lead, or flashing the old stilettos, or giving each other the 1, 2, 3 with their knuckle dusters. Gosh, what wouldn't I give to be doing that myself? It's the life. I tell you, it's terrific. That's quite enough, snapped Grandma Josephine. I can't bear to listen to it. Nor me, said Grandma Georgina. Do all children behave like this nowadays? Like these brats we've been hearing about? Of course not, said Mr. Bartlett, smiling at the old lady in the bed. Some do, of course. In fact, quite a lot of them do, but not all. Now there's only one ticket left, said Grandpa George. Quite so, sniffed Grandma Georgina. I'm just as sure as I'll be having cabbage soup for supper tomorrow that ticket will go to some nasty little beast who doesn't deserve it.